Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Sir, please, we are doing well.
Fine, thank you, Prof.
Okay, do we have all the members of the class? I know some of you might be joining together. All right, I think we can start now. We can start. The colleagues will join later. Um, yeah, last week, I was taking you through, the whole idea about proposal writing. And I've also taken you through chapter 1, that we look at the introduction of the background. We also look at the problem statement, the aim, specific objectives, research questions, hypothesis. We also look at significance of the study. We look at the limitation of the study. We also look at the scope. Then the same thing like organization of the chapters. And we are now going to look at the subsequent chapters. That's chapter 2. But before we go on, I just want to throw more light on some of the things that you are supposed to know. So just to go over the research objectives, the specific objectives. Remember, I taught you how to go in the logical way by looking at the adjective, then you follow up with the active verbs. Active verbs. Like, who can give me some example of active verbs? Yes, this is just a recap, so it shouldn't be difficult at all. Christiana Naughty. Christiana Naughty. Okay, how about Christiana Nyako? Wow. Esther Tete.
Hello, sir. Please, good evening. This is Christiana Yeboah. Please, I'm at a noisy place, so I can hear you, but because of the noise, I'm not able to respond.
But I can hear you loudly. You don't worry. You say it. We can hear you. Just give some example of active verbs that you use in couching your specific objectives.
So, last week I remember you said we could use was it examining? Sir, please, am I right? You said we should
Are
use.
you asking me? Ask your question, so respond. No, that is it. Respond. You can answer question with answer, okay?
Yes, sir.
So just go straight. If it is it, you say it. Whatever it is.
Okay, sir. Sir, please, analyzing evaluating, investigation,
Is that the active
exploration.
verbs?
Sorry?
Is that the active verb?
Hey. Please, no. No, this is the adjectives we described.
So I
Sorry.
want to be there. Let's say you say analyzing. So give active verb for analyzing. Christiana, this shouldn't be anything difficult for you.
Yes, sir. I'll say me bye. Say examine.
Analyzing is to examine.
Yes, please.
No. Who will answer that question?
So is it analyze, to analyze?
To analyze. To analyze. If it is examination, is to what?
To examine.
To examine.
Thank you. Thank you. This is simple as ABC. Is it difficult?
No, sir.
All right. Please go through your notes very well. All right? Because you are going to write a proposal. And I've already started the process. So those of you who have your topics, I told you what you are supposed to do. All right? So the research objectives, this is what the study seeks to investigate, interrogate, or achieve. It is usually restatement of the research questions in a goal-oriented form. Where possible, the research objectives should be categorized into general objective and specific objective. The general objective is the aim or the goal of the study. And then the specific is the follow-up to exactly what you want to do within the study. So broadly, the general objective is usually a restatement of the research topic. I've told you already that your aim, your goal, or general objective is the topic, while the specific objectives are sub-objectives that need to be achieved in order to achieve the broader general objective. So the research objectives, for example, in stating the research objective, ensure that they are specific and concrete. I mentioned the SMART analysis, if you remember. And others can attain them and agree they have been attained. Specific. Measurable, specify this criteria by which you know what you have found, what you are looking for, and note that the criteria but need not numerical, the measurement. Okay. Researchable, or where it might be what question can be answered in reasonable time with reasonable funds. And that is where it must also means you are looking at, realistic as well. As well as the research objective should be declarative, prioritized, that means listed in order of priority. That is what I was talking to you about, the logical flow. All right. When you see analyzing, it should be analyzed to analyze. Follow it. Don't repeat it to analyze to analyze. You can also examine. You can also assess. You can also investigate. You can also ascertain. We call something Bloom taxonomy. This Bloom taxonomy is a types of active verbs that helps you to be able to proceed your research objectives very clearly. Then you remember we also talk about justification or the significance of the study. It indicates how research will refine, revise, or extend existing knowledge in the area under investigation. You build on limitations cited in literature review. Indicate that your researcher will overcome the limitation of some other studies. Justification of the study can be advancing theory, offering applications to critical social problems, filling in a critical void in a field of knowledge. You remember I told you about policy directives to help you in the study of the particular area, and it will bring in gaps, those that you are going to fill within the context of the research, and then opening new ways of thinking about the area of investigation. All right. Then still, when thinking about the significance of the study, ask yourself the following question. What will the results of the study mean to the theoretical framework that framed the study? That's the contribution that you are going to give. What suggestions for subsequent research may arise from the findings? And what will the results mean to the practicing educator? And what results influence program methods and all interventions, and how? And will results contribute to the solution of educational problems? Will results influence educational policy decisions? These are all areas of significance that you should think about. Then we are talking about a brief literature review. I mean, in the proposal, the literature review is generally brief and to the point. There's no need for anything like circumlocution. I mean, go round the topic or the subject matter. You touch on it. So the literature review provides the background and the context for research problem and should establish the need for the research. As far as possible, the review should be separated into theoretical and empirical literature. So when we are talking of literature review, it will be ideal and it will be appropriate for you to classify them under what we call theoretical literature and that of empirical literature. And I've stated that the theoretical literature talks about theories that underpin the study. In addition to that, these theories can date back beyond the 5 to 6 years. But when we are talking about the empirical study or literature, they are literature that is written in, journal, peer-reviewed journals. And these, you can find them in database like Sage, Emerald, Juster, Academic Complete, and other related, sources of literature. And then I've also given you assignment that you need to go to the library and meet with the librarian and ask him to help you to search for academic journals or peer-reviewed journals so that you can start looking for materials or literature regarding your study. If you don't have literature, you cannot write your literature review. The literature review is that you've read the subject matter and then you've actually come out very clear to establish whether there are differences, there are similarities, and there are also gaps in the information that we are looking for. So it is normally important that before you start writing, you have your literature available. So you have to gather them from the, a database. So it is very, very important. So while the theoretical literature review focuses largely on description and discussion of relevant theories or concepts, the empirical literature focuses on similar studies done on the subject by summarizing, or what we call paraphrasing, their approaches, findings, and then conclusions. So this is very important. And then we'll be having much discussion into the literature review soon. Then another dimension, which is, so chapter 2 is the literature review, theoretical, empirical, and I also mention of the conceptual framework. What concepts underpin the study? Your independent variable vis-a-vis your dependent variable, and if there's any mediating or moderating variables that will either moderate or mediate, okay? And I will explain further when we come to the conceptual frameworks. So chapter 3 talks about the methodology that describes precisely how you as a researcher intends to go about achieving your research objectives. It should also justify the researcher's choice of method in the light of the research objective. So the methodology is like how you are going to conduct the study. Okay? Methodology. So here, the research methodology can be divided into 3 interdependent parts as follows. 1, the research design. 2, data collection and data analysis. So it talks about the design of your work. What do you mean by design? If any, structural engineer want to build, you need to be guided by certain design, or what we call architectural design. The same thing applies to research. In research, there is a need for the research design. That research design is very important. First of all, you ask yourself, what research approach am I going to use? Am I using quantitative, qualitative, or the mixed method? That is combining both qualitative and that of quantitative. Okay? So if you look at that finish, then what type of research design, there's design that you are going to use to, collect your data. Are you looking at descriptive? Are you going to describe? Are you going to narrate, okay, the phenomena, or you are going to describe, or you are going to show some sort of relationship where you look at correlations and then you also look at what we call regressions. In terms of finding out what is the interrelationship between the variables that you've chosen. So you remember during hypothesis, that is why you proceed either the alternate hypothesis or null hypothesis to indicate whether your hypothesis is stated in positive or negative. That one, it is after you've analyzed the data, and if your data is well structured, it is well, collected very well with more, responses from participants, then you'll be able to make a lot of inferences, okay? Then the data collection is what goes into how you collect the data. If you are using quantitative, a survey method, then we assume that you are going to design a questionnaire or you've adapted the questionnaire. And that questionnaire should be able to, provide out, like what we call the responses. And then at this level, we advise to use 5 Likert scale of preference of the responses. Okay, for example, if you ask a question, okay, what is your opinion about technology infusing in procurement and logistics? Then the question is, the answers will be like highly agree. Then we have agree. Then we have neutral. Then you said highly disagree. Disagree and highly disagree. So these are 5 Likert scale of preference. So 5 options or alternative responses have been given. And you choose only one. So your questionnaire must be able to guide you to be able to focus on only questions that you want to answer. Okay. So that is Likert scale of preference. So the data collection will determine the methods that you use. Yes. The methods that you use to collect the data. So it can also be, either you are using an interview guide and you are collecting data on qualitative approach. We'll be going into that into detail so that you understand how to go about it. Then your data analysis, you actually give an overview of how you are going to analyze the data. If it's quantitative, how are you going to collect the data? How are you going to analyze the data after you collected the data? Then if it is mixed method, how are you going to do that one also? All right. So with that, then you finish your proposal. So the proposal is chapter 1, 2, and 3. When you are done with this, then the next aspect will be now to go and design your instruments and go and collect data from the field. Okay. And we'll be looking at that in due course. So on this note, I will ask if there is any question at this level. So the data collection also talks about the sampling or, the techniques for you to, and the data gathering methods, instrumentation. When they say instrumentation, that's how you design your instrument to go and collect it, like questionnaire, interview guide, okay? These are all instrumentation. Then the measurement, the validity and reliability. Is your research reliable? Does it mean that whatever instrument you design, that instrument can be used in any situation and it can collect the data that you intend collecting? There are measures. So we'll be looking at that as well, and we'll be looking at the sampling methods or techniques adopted and whether the sampling method is adequate for that particular, end. So I talk about the data analysis refers to the techniques and procedures that will be used to turn or transform the raw data into information. And that can be used to answer Research questions will address the research objective. And this may involve preparation of data for analysis, analytical techniques, methods of reading, or interpreting research information. Now, to end, you need to show that the procedures that you are adopting for the data analysis will produce the answers to the full list of whatever you want to do. Then the time scale or the work plan, or what we call the Gantt chart, it should provide detail of when each of the activities of the research will be started or completed, where necessary and anticipated. Schedule should be organized by days, weeks, or months. And remember to include research preparations such as language training, archival work, etc. Include consultation time, include time for data analysis, and all these must be reasonable, precise, and realistic in your estimation. Make room for any unforeseen eventuality that can prevent you from doing any major work. Okay, then the budget. The budget provides the monetary cost of conducting the research and should include all personnel salary, including yourself. If you are writing a proposal for like funding, this is where you have to write and put it in items. For example, remuneration, operations, training, and others. Then when you do your cost estimates, then you can put the figure against any of the items that you want to embark on. Okay. So example of some of the costs of research would mean equipment, computers, photo, video equipment, supplies, travel, training time, insurance, visas per diem for special trips, medical supplies, fees to informants, give to informer, people who give you information, some situation. For example, if you are doing qualitative study and you are dealing with hard to reach groups like drug addicts, like prostitutes, you need to do what we call snowballing. It's one of the sampling techniques where you refer, we call it referral. You ask the person who is giving you information to refer to anybody who can also give you similar information. So that's what we call snowballing. And snowballing is done under qualitative study. So if that is what you are looking at, are you giving money to anybody? You need to state it as you move along. All right. So with all these, then at the end, you provide references. Here you provide the list of literature and materials, including their authors, date of publication, title, and source. We'll be looking at referencing style, and we'll be using Harvard referencing style in this class. Even though some also use APA, we'll be using Harvard referencing style for the purpose of this study. All right. Now, as an overview, guidelines to writing a good research proposal. Some tips you find useful are always structure your work in advance. Know what you want to say before trying to write it. Every sentence must contain one idea only. Each sentence must follow logically from one before. A well-written text in a chain of ideas. While writing, keep your readers' needs in mind. This means providing a verbal map of your document so that your reader knows what to expect and placing. That's a verbal signpost. You give a subheading in your text to explain whatever you want to, write on. Okay. Don't use words when you are not absolutely certain of their meaning. That's why you have to define certain keywords. Use difficult words to impress your reader. Use only simplistic language. Repeat yourself and then digress. Okay. The criteria for evaluating your research proposal. Ask yourself if the components of the proposal fit together. Can this research be carried out satisfactorily within the time scale with the available resources? At times, students write proposals that go beyond even their time limit. You are doing only a 4-year program. That is why I'm saying that if you learn this process very well, the 4th year, they'll ask you to write a project work. And when you are done with your research, with proposal writing, then the next level is to now go into the field, collect data, and come and analyze and present your results. That is what it is. Okay. Now, the 6 relationships required to finish a proposal. To successfully complete your research proposal, you need to build a negotiate relationship with yourself, supervisor or supervisory committee, the representative of the institution, selected friends, colleagues, family members, and supporters, others, and pilot or trial research activities. Okay. So in brief, that goes into what we call proposal writing. Any question? Any question? If there's any question about the proposal, please, this is the time for you to come out. So if you don't have question, then I will ask you a question. Now listen attentively. So in writing a proposal, show me the steps or like the templates in which you can use to write the proposal from chapter 1 to chapter 3. Who will start? It's supposed to be a group contribution. So somebody will mention it up to somewhere, somebody also will continue, so that we move on to the next slide, the next lesson. Right. So the floor is open. Yeah, who will start? The templates, how to write proposal from beginning to an end, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Emmanuel Opoku, can you start with us? Emmanuel Opoku.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, start. Just list them. Just want to list them, that's all.
Okay. The chapter 1 consists of the introduction or the background, the problem statements, the aim or goal of the study, specific objectives, your research questions.
Okay, stop over there. You stop over there. You said them there. Somebody should continue.
Hello, sir.
I want a female. We want to balance it. Esther Tete.
Hello, sir.
Continue from where Emmanuel stopped. You stop at specific objectives.
So from there, we move on to the research questions. Then the hypothesis.
Okay,
Then
if they are any, because if it is qualitative, you don't need hypothesis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then we move on to the significance of the study. Then definition of terms. Then we move to the scope, then the limitation of the study. From there, we move on to chapter 2.
Okay, you leave it over there. So we'll start from chapter 2. Chapter 2.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So chapter 2, we'll have the introduction.
No, I don't want you to continue, Emmanuel. Let's have a different person, okay? I'm making it more participatory now. Yes, I'll call name Gladys Dampari. Chapter 2. No. We finished with chapter 1. We are in chapter 2. Literature review. What comes first with the literature review? Louisa. Essina Mensa. Louisa. Louisa. Is Louisa not in class? So I assume she's absent, eh? Okay. Maswasuka. Maswasuka.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Maso.
So please, my background is a bit noisy, so I'll try and type it in the comment section.
Who will try?
Okay.
We just gone through it. Have you forgotten? Millicent Amankwa.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Sir, please, can you?
I said chapter 2. What made up of chapter 2?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So please, can
Hello. Yeah, I need a volunteer who can do that. Emmanuel, can you build a class?
Hello, sir.
Go ahead.
Sir, from the
What if you
chapter
are in
2, we
class,
have.
but you are not paying attention? You are not paying attention at all. Go ahead, Emmanuel.
Sir, Maxwell is speaking.
Who is speaking?
Hello, sir. Maxwell is sir. Maxwell is speaking.
Maxwell, go ahead.
Yeah, so chapter 2, we have the introduction. We have the framework. Hello, sir.
Yeah, I'm listening.
We have the framework. Then after we have the theoretical framework.
Theoretical literature, yeah.
Yes, sir. So then we have the summary.
No. If you have the theoretical, there's another one. I've explained in this class a few minutes ago.
Sir.
Yes.
So the next one is review of related literature.
Pardon me?
Review of related literature.
Yeah, review of related literature. And I say classify them. Which one comes first? You mentioned theoretical, which is the next one?
So I think empirical.
Conceptual framework.
Empirical before conceptual. Just keep it in your mind. 1, theoretical literature. 2, theoretical framework or theoretical literature. Sorry, empirical literature. Then conceptual framework. That's it. Then chapter 3 is made up of what?
So the research design.
Yeah, but give us a heading. What is a heading for chapter 3?
Sir, introduction.
No.
Research methodology.
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 Yes. Methods.
Gifty.
And when you talk of methodology, give me a breakdown.
So after that, introduction and research design, data collection methods.
Yep. Continue.
Hello, sir. So you said we have the research design, data collection, and data analysis. I didn't get the third one. Oh.
Yeah, you need to collect, you need to design data collection and data analysis. And I did mention that in data collection, it involves instrumentation. The design itself will tell us what type of design are we going to use to do the analysis. And I mentioned descriptive, narrative, correlation, or regression. Okay. And in qualitative study, we normally explore, we normally describe as well, and we also explain. All right. Then after you talk about that, then you come to the data collection. What will be the instrument? What instrument are you going to use to collect? After instrumentation, you go to data collection by using sampling, looking at population, and sample the population based on the population frame. Then you come down to do your analysis and then interpretation. So that will give you the journey of, and then when you get to where you have to put your work plan, you structure your work plan in a more chronological order. Which one comes first, which one comes second in that order. Then you also look at if there's any budget, put a budget there for you to be able to take care of all the expenses that will come. And after that, you put your reference list, your references, which material guided you to gather information to. So you put those things as well. All right. Please read. Read. I've given you also a book known as Crestwall. Posted it on your platform. Please read. If you don't read at this level, when you get to the final year, you'll be found wanting. Let the thing be at your fingertips. And when they are at your fingertips, anywhere you go, you can apply them anytime, anyhow. So take note of that. Now, we are coming to another important area called literature review, or what we call review of literature. All right? So let's look at what we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at introduction, definition, forms of literature review. Then we'll be looking at reasons for conducting literature review. Literature review process, structure of literature review, presentation of literature review, then evaluating the content of literature review. Now, to quote the words of Jankowitz, year 2005, page 161, he said, the work that you do is not done in vacuum, but builds on the ideas of other people who have studied the field before you. This requires you describe what has been published and to marshal the information in relevant and critical way. According to Jack Cowis, he's trying to say that any work that we do, we don't do it in vacuum, but rather we rely on other studies before we can even come out with our research. So, whatever the objectives of the research may be, its significance is invariably judged in relation to other people's research and finding. Might not be a gray area, but has a lot of references, have instances where you rely on other studies and then provide a gap that those studies could not establish, and you are now coming in. So you definitely have to make reference to those work. And that is why you do your referencing, your citations comes in. So therefore, one really needs to demonstrate awareness of the current state of knowledge in the chosen area of research and show how his or her research fits into a wider context, according to Gill and Johnson, 2002. This can be achieved through literature review. Through literature review. So now, this can be achieved through literature review. And what do we mean by that literature review? Literature review simply means it's a part of research reports that you are trying to analyze and discuss. And that is where the researcher analyzes and discusses published or scholarly information related to the subject area under research. So we say that a literature review is a part of research reports where the researcher analyzes and discusses published scholarly information relating to the subject area under research. So if it's on procurement and logistics, that is the subject area. If the supply chain, it is subject area. So a literature review surveys scholarly articles, books, and other sources, dissertation, conference proceedings, relevant to the particular issue area of research or theory by providing description, summary, and critical evaluation of each work. So it can be books, it can be dissertation, it can be conference proceedings, and then it can also be description and summary of critical evaluations of each work. So what can we say that that literature review is not? It is not primarily an argument for the importance of what is it you are researching. While it is necessary to explain what is the primary purpose of your research, the reader of a literature review will assume that the need for undertaking the research has already been established. It is not descriptive list of papers or summaries. You must not list your sources and describe them in detail. One at a time. Rather, if you pick a subject matter or an area of concern, what did other authors say about that issue? The similarities and differences. Who are those who buttress their point or who support that argument? Vis-a-vis those who actually do not agree with those arguments. So a literature review is organized around ideas, not the sources themselves, as an annotated bibliography would be organized. You should assess previous studies and discuss their strengths and weaknesses. So what we are talking about is when we say annotated bibliography, you pick up a material, then you summarize by talking about what is the context, what is it about? And then after that, you pick another one and then argue out based on that particular writer. That is annotated bibliography. That is not what we are looking at. We are looking at, in holistic points, what are the areas that you are delving into and the challenges as well. Now, we have forms of literature review. And we are going to look at the two forms of literature review, and are usually conducted for different reasons, according to Sharp et al. When we say et al, it means and others. It means it's not only one author, it's about 3 and 4 authors. So take note of, if you see anything called et al in the text, it is Sharp and others. So the first one is the preliminary review. The preliminary review. This helps the researcher to generate and refine research ideas. These views usually does not form part of the research project proper. As the name implies, preliminary. prelims. Then we have the critical review, which form part of the research project and help the researcher. So if you are doing preliminary review, it means that you are not going to pick a topic and you are reading around the topic to see whether you are going to get materials for that research work. That is what we call preliminary, review. But a critical review is where you start working on the research itself. So preliminary vis-a-vis critical review. Now, the purpose of the critical literature review is reviewing the literature critically provide foundation on which a research is built. That's the precise purpose of reviewing the literature will depend on the approach used in the research. So we have deductive approach. The literature is used to identify the theories and ideas that will be tested using data. So when you are doing deductive approach type of literature review, you are looking at theories and ideas that will be tested using data. The inductive approach is the literature review helps you to relate your findings to existing knowledge. So normally quantitative lookers studies like deductive approach because the literature use is to identify the theories and ideas that will be tested by data. Then inductive is more or less qualitative, that the literature review helps you relate your findings to existing knowledge. You understand more when we start the issues about methodology. Now, what are the reasons for conducting literature review? Literature review may be conducted for a number of reasons. And what are some of the reasons? And some of these include, one, literature review offers an overview of significant literature published on the topic. So it offers overview of significant literature. So the number of literature that underpin that particular study. And to help you also to refine your research questions and objectives. What do we mean by that? It will help you to be able to refine or try to find answers to your research questions and that of your objectives. The third one, to highlight research possibilities that have been overlooked implicitly in research to date, that it helps to identify knowledge gaps. So studies have been conducted in a particular area, but they've not delved into one particular. For example, AI, artificial intelligence, and its usage have not been used in procurement and logistics sector or supply chain sector. For that matter, that is a gap that you want to fill. How is technology helping in the area of supply chain, procurement, logistics, among others? Then it also helps to discover explicit recommendation for further research. This can provide you with an excellent justification for your own research questions and objectives. Come out with recommendations. You've done literature review, you've done it extensively, find out your results. Then it will also help you to come out with areas for further research. Now, how about the literature review process? The process can be likened to an upward spiral culminating into the final draft of a written critical review. The processes are: state the research problem or the research question and object. You remember, after the background, the research problem. Then after that, the research questions, objectives, and then the research questions. Some people also bring the question first before the objectives, but logically, the objectives come before the research questions. And then you define the parameters for your search. And then generate and refine keywords for the search. So as I've told you, you need to go to the library. You have your research problem ready. Then you start searching for information. So use key words in your topic to look for the articles or the literature. Then conduct literature search. Then you start looking for articles. You narrow it to 5 to 6 year period. You see thousands of them, then you go through. So what you have to do is to read through the abstracts. You look at the background, and you look at the key findings. So after you do that, you obtain the literature. Some of them will not be relevant. Those that will be relevant, you keep them in your folders. You save them, soft copies. If you want to do printing, you spend a lot of money on printing because some of them might not be needed after all. So you gather the information, the literature. Then you try to evaluate the literature. You determine which literature makes a significant contribution to the understanding of your work. So some of them, you expunge them. They might not be relevant because might not be touching on the subject. Some of them will be direct. Then you record the relevant literature and start drafting the literature. Review. This should involve description, analysis, and synthesis. And the process may be repeated a number of times to come out with critical review reports. So the steps are very simple, and that step is what you are going to use. They are straightforward. You state the research problem. With objectives and that of the research questions. And define the parameters for your research, your search. By doing what? Generate the keywords. So can you give me some of the keywords in your research? Yes. Yeah, everybody have their topics. Those of you have your topic. And I don't know why some of you have still not got your topics. Millicent.
Sir, please, digital solutions.
Is it only digital solutions?
No, please. Events and logistics.
So events and logistics and digital solution. So when you put in this keyword, you see a lot of articles will pop up. Any other? Any other?
I also have a effect of technology on procurement practices.
So, effect of technology on procurement practices, keywords. You see the article popping up. Any other?
Sir,
Yeah.
so I also have the influence of organizational culture on procurement in decision making. decision making in procurement.
Organizational culture on procurement decision making.
Yes.
Good. Those are the key words. Any other? So you see, you start.
Say, Say supplier relationship management in procurement.
Supply relationship management in procurement. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good. So that's the assignment for you, all of you who are giving out your keywords. Okay. You've generated and refined a keyword. Now conduct the literature search. So when you come tomorrow, you tell me the result, whether you've got literature or you've not got literature. Please, but take note. Don't just go onto the internet and be doing that. Go to the database. You all have credentials to have access to GCTU library. If you don't know how to do it, go to the librarian, they will teach you how to do it. And this will also help you in other courses that you do. Good. Then, after you've done that, then you have to go and obtain the literature. That means you save them according to the topics in your folder. So there'll be files within the topics. Topics and then the files. So that when you are looking for them, it will be very easy for you to be able to download. So that's where you record the relevant literature. And then you start reading and paraphrasing the subject matter topic. If you read them, you see there will be a guide for you on how to go about them. All right? Good. So that's the assignment for you to do. Follow the steps in that order. Now, in conducting the literature review should comprise the following elements. So an overview of the subject, issue or theory under consideration. So the theories also, you find them in these articles that you are searching. Under consideration along with objectives of the literature review. Division of works under review into categories. For example, those in support of a particular position, and those against, and those offering alternative theses entirely. You find them in the work, the different things that you pick on the subject matter. So you divide them in that category. So those who support a particular position, those who are against that particular solution, and those offering alternative ideas or theses entirely. Then explanation of how each work is similar to and how it varies from the others. Then conclusion as which pieces are best considered in their argument, are most convincing of their opinions, and make the greatest contribution to the understanding and development of the area of research. This is how you conduct your literature. It's also there. So follow the steps. Now, the content of critical literature review. The content of critical literature review need to include the key academic theories within your chosen area of research. So you identify at least one theory that underpins the study. And then include relevant empirical research conducted on the chosen area. So you are looking at theories and empirical literature. Then to demonstrate your knowledge of your chosen area is up to date. And show clear referencing, which will enable those reading your project report to find original publication you cite. So your publication must be well cited. Your references. Now, evaluating the content of critical literature review. Ask if you have shown your research question relate to previous research review. Assess the strengths and weaknesses of the previous research review. And being objective in your discussion and assessment of other people's research, including references that is counter to your opinion. Make reasoned judgment about the value and the relevance of other research to your own. Then highlight those areas where new research that's yours is needed to provide fresh insight and taking into account in your argument. So your own area of research is what is the gap that you are filling. They are very important. So in evaluating the work that you've done, the questions relate to previous research review. Then assess the strengths and weaknesses of the previous research review. And then being objective on the discussion and assessment of other people's research. Include references that is counter in your opinion. And make reasoned judgment about the value and relevance of other research to your own. And highlight those areas where new research is needed to provide fresh insights and take into account in your argument. Now, how about the structure of the critical review? The word critical means that you delve into it, depth and breadth. So 3 common structures are identified. The literature review can be written in a single chapter, a series of chapters with headings, or throughout the project report as you tackle various issues. So we don't need a single chapter. We need a series of chapters. Someone will say, how many chapters do we need? The more you write with argument, critically, expound, the better chances you have for getting higher marks. But some can write, but they write chaff. They may not making any argument. They'll just be describing or collecting just article, but they are not showing us differences, similarities, and unique research that actually they've come out with. And for dissertation, adopt a single chapter approach with the following components: the introduction, theoretical, and the empirical. We are not saying that that is only the chapter. That is how it will flow. And the headlines will come in after the other. So the introduction of the thesis, the literature review, the theoretical literature, and that of what? Empirical. And if you are showing theoretical literature, show how it relates, or it will relate to the research that you are conducting. Now, in conducting theoretical review, theories. Theoretical literature refers to the various theories or abstraction expressing the ideas and concepts on a subject matter. So to conduct a theoretical literature review, first of all, identify the key themes. You are talking about digital solution. So anything to do with digital solution, anything to relate it to events, and then logistics. So when you read this, the articles that you pick, some of them will come out with what? Theories. Then you identified your variables of interest. Those key terms that you are using, they are your variables. And I've explained to you that when you pick a variable, it means you've identified the issue. So if you are talking about events and logistics, it's a variable. It's independent variable against digital solution. So these are the variables. So the key words form the basis of your variable. And identify and discuss the theories bordering on the variables. And then synthesize and evaluate these theories with respect to your hypothesis or proposition, or thesis, or research questions. This is very interesting. Where you are synthesizing, you are restructuring a whole knowledge base. So in conducting your theory, this is what you have to do. Then you create a mind map of the theories to write about. Convert the map into a storyboard or an outline. Get the necessary information and synthesize and evaluate under each sub-theme theory. And then relate these to your hypothesis and proposition or research questions. Now, the sources of information for theoretical literature review will come from textbooks, book reviews, peer review journal. That's why I say go to the database. Accredited scholarly publication. Those are those. The web, scholarly search engine. Even though Google Scholars can give you a lot, some of them might not be a peer review. When we say peer review, they have not undergone a rigorous review by scholars. The more you read some of these work, the more you become acclimatized. You become known to how to go about some of this write-up. For empirical literature review, after the theoretical literature, look for published scholarly research evidence in respect of the key theories in your work. Discuss whether they support your hypothesis or counter your hypothesis or emerging views and arguments. Then concepts and constructs. Remember, I was talking about the conceptual framework. A concept is generally accepted, a collection of meaning or characteristics associated with certain phenomena, events, objects, conditions, situation, or behavior. For example, employee performance, customer satisfaction, quality strategic management, strategic leadership. These are all concepts and at the same time variables. So a construct is an image or idea specifically invented for a given research and or theory building purpose. For example, just satisfaction. Just satisfaction is defined as the extent in which people like satisfaction or dislike, that is dissatisfaction, their jobs. Spectre, 1997, page 2. So this is a classical example of how you define some of these key terms. And they become constructs for you. They become variables that you are going to use to do your analysis. So an operational definition, that is what I was talking about. The key terms that you have to define. An operational definition is stated in terms of specific testing or measurement criteria. These terms must have empirical reference that we must able to count in some other way together to gather information through. The definition must specify the characteristics and how they are to be observed. The specification and characteristics must be so clear that anyone using it will classify the objects the same way. For example, and job satisfaction will be measured by our operationalized by ... Now, presentation of literature review can be in the form of different approaches. So we have what we call chronological. That is, present the information according to when they are published, from the most recent to the earliest or vice versa. Or thematic information is organized along topics or issues rather than the progression of time. However, progression of time may still be an important factor in a thematic review. Methodological, that is, the presentation focuses on the methods or strategies the researchers or writer use. So chronological in order, or themes. The same job satisfaction is also a theme. It's also a variable. And it depends on what type of methodology you are using. And this one, the methods that you use. So normally we use the methodological approach combined with thematic when you are doing qualitative study. Or chronological if you are doing a historical perspective of any research. So in planning your literature search or strategy, the planning should include the parameters of the search, the keywords and search terms you intend to use, the databases and search engines you intend to use, the criteria you intend to use to select the relevant and useful studies from all these items you find. Now, defining the parameters of your search, you need to be clear in the following: language of publication, subject area, business sector, geographical area, publication period, and the literature type. So geographical area, Africa, Asia, North America. Publication period is very relevant. I told you it should be between 5 to 6 year period. What type of literature type? Is it from the native writers? Is key. The business sector, procurement, subject area, delving into area of what? Organizational behavior, vis-a-vis procurement. So you have to know the parameters, then generating your keywords. Use one or number of different techniques in combination. Discussion with colleagues, your project tutor and handbook, initial reading, dictionary, thesaurus, encyclopedia, and handbook, mind mapping, brainstorming, and relevance training. And then in conducting your literature search, the literature search could be conducted using a variety of approaches. Tertiary literature sources, that means you are picking it from other people's work. You look at people's reference lists, and then you pick literature from them. Or literature reference in books and journals. And then scanning and browsing secondary literature in your library. Or searching using the internet. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to stop over here. Tomorrow when we meet, we'll be looking at sources of information. And then I will be expecting you to bring a lot of literature that you gathered and you discuss some of them with me. And that will make your research work progressive. Because at the end of the class, and that will be your midterm, I'll take it and mark. And you can also use them for your group work when you get to the final year and keep it because it will be done professionally. Good. So on this note, any question? Any question? Tomorrow we'll have about 2 more. And do you have access to the platform?
No, sir.
Hello? Class reps. Theo,
Yes, sir.
do you have Moodle access to the Moodle platform?
Sir, currently I don't have access to it.
So do you have the slides already?
No.
No, do you have lecture 1, lecture 2, lecture 3 in that order?
No, we only have the lecture for the research introduction. The one
Oh.
I've not gotten it for. I asked.
Then let me send all of them to you now. I thought
Oh,
you
okay,
have.
all right. Thank you very much.
You should have asked.
I missed it.
So I will share with you right away. It will be in your chat room, but you also need to have access to, the whole platform. I will check from Office of Center for Online Learning and Teaching, because they have to make access of these materials to you. So you mean
Okay.
you have only introduction?
Yes.
So you have introduction, you don't have lecture 2.
I'm checking it.
So
We already have the introduction one.
Okay, I'll send you lecture 2. I'll send that of lecture 3. Lecture 3 is 10. Lecture 4. And then tomorrow, when I'm done with 4, and then we'll be looking at references tomorrow. So I'll share those ones with you. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, good. And that will help you to start writing your literature as well. All right, so on this note, I would like to draw the curtain down on then today's proceedings. Tomorrow still we'll do online, 1 hour to make up the 3 hours. So please come on time. Come on time and read. Some of you are not reading, I'm not happy. Okay, if you read, the class will flow, you contribute, right? So please do so. All right.
All right. Thank you very much,
I
Prof.
wish you all the best. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.